thinking, oh, yeah,
And
okay.
some of the stupid ones.
Yeah, oh, yeah, a lot of really stupid ones.
When you wake up in the morning, you go, oh, that was a dumb idea.
Yeah.
I was like, must have been half asleep with that one.
Yeah.
Well,
Yeah.
I was going to say, I think what I think of straight away when you talk about group dynamics is how those behaviors and interactions actually affect the adaptation and improvement in the individual. And like even how group dynamics will affect how someone feels in the day and how that actually affects their physical output capacity. Because you very rarely are going to get the lone wolf who just got their headphones in all the time and they can
I think unfortunately there are a lot of athletes, especially in our sport, who think they're going to make it on their own. And it's just not possible.
No.
You know, I don't think anyone has success on their own. Doesn't matter who you are. You know, and those stories of, I did it myself and the self-made person, it's bullshit.
Yeah.
No one has ever done that. You've always required, even if it's your parents who brought you up, like you never did anything on your own.
That's a question for both of you. How do you manage then your own psychological or emotional state in terms of going into coaching? Because I think it probably relates to anyone who's working with people where there are some days that are better than others, and there's some days where things are going on in your life that are going to affect how you interact with those people. Do you have particular processes that you go through thinking about how you create the right mindset that you need before you go out to coach?
Golf and alcohol.
At the same time?
Preferably. No, seriously, golf is where I go out and think.
Yeah, okay.
It gives me time to just sort of do a bit of reflection. And, I don't mind playing with other people. I'm quite happy to go and play golf myself. It's something I've always done that helps me. I haven't been doing it enough lately just because the weather's crap and stuff like that. But, I'll quarantine 3 or 4 hours and just play 9 holes at Yarra Bend. And I come away just feeling, it's good physical activity, but just refreshed. And I try and do that once a week. It doesn't happen all the time. But that myself, I know when I'm yearning for golf, I realise I've got to go and do some thinking. Yeah. And that really helps me.
Yeah.
Look, there are times where you're just so emotionally wrapped up in what's going on. It's really hard to pull yourself out of it. Really, really challenging.
But I mentioned it makes you quite mindful of thinking about how your current psychological, emotional state impacts the group dynamics and their performance in real time.
Well, I've got a PhD student who's just finished, and she's done her PhD on coach identity and what goes into that. But then her next project is the impact of coach identity on athlete identity. And we've started sort of looking at that side of things. And when the coach is fully immersed and really understands and loves their sport, that seems to infect the athletes quite a bit.
Well, they've got to replicate that similar mindset of like, as you want to continue to learn and grow as a coach, that's exactly what you want the athlete.
And it comes back to that notion of curiosity. If you're curious, and I think really good coaches are curious, they're just curious about lots of things, not just coaching. And you take that time to be curious about the lives of the athletes. Some of them don't want you to know about stuff, which is fine. But I think that just makes a huge difference. But it also means then when there's some shit going on in their lives and all of a sudden, because they know you're going to listen and be curious, you take on some of that load. And this is what Rowan Taylor was talking about in coaching. And it's well publicised, but he, what's her name, the breaststroker that he coached, won Olympic gold.
McKeown, is it McKeown?
No, a while back now. It'll come to me in a minute.
Is it Liesl Jones?
Yeah, Liesl Jones, yeah. So she wrote a book and about it, and I think he contributed a chapter or something like that, and he said that just broke him because it was so emotionally intense for him. And I was chatting to him, so, well, how does that now translate into the work? And he said, I have these really deep and honest conversations with the coaches, talking to them about, how do you handle the stress? Because, swimming is intense enough as it is because it's a very contained and constrained environment. And the challenges of getting athletes to get lane time and space in order to do the training that's one of the biggest bugbears of swimming coaches.
Yes, actually. Well, it's my biggest concern with coaching in general is having a safe and consistent environment to be able to coach.
Like physically safe, that is, yeah.
Well, we have an issue with our club, soccer.
Yeah.
There's just kids running, like, and I go nuts.
Yeah.
Like, I go nuts worrying about this stuff.
Yeah.
And, you know, we've got some support, like the current president's pretty good with it, but they can't get rid of them at the moment. And it scares the crap out of me.
Yeah, sure.
And, like, I'm always worried that someone's going to get hurt, kid's going to run across. I'm not worried about the kid getting hurt. I'm worried about my athletes.
Oh, yeah. I mean, just to deviate at top speed, you know what the injuries are going to be like. It's just
ball goes
catastrophic.
underneath them. Like, oh my God.
Catastrophic. Or even if they see a ball coming and they just dodge.
Yeah, and something happens. They trip over. They
hit another athlete.
roll their ankle,
strain
something, whatever
I'm just thinking just basic soft tissue injuries of changing direction at top speed at 30 kilometres an hour. You know, that in itself, an athlete can't do that.
How do you
especially in spikes where there's nothing in the heel.
How do you address belief in your athletes?
Unpack that question a bit more for me, because that's a pretty big one. Yeah,
it is a big one. Well, something that's quite evident to me, even just working like clinically, let alone reading about athlete experiences, is their beliefs and perceptions of themselves, their ability to reach certain levels is such a integral factor that determines their success and performance. You've obviously got quite a bit of experience and knowledge related to understanding psychology. Are there certain things that you look at or address and talk to your athletes to change that, if you think it's needed?
Yeah. Look, I do have some athletes who believe they're a hell of a lot better than what they actually are, which is fine. I think that's actually not a bad thing.
That's a better position than...
Yeah.
But probably also that depends then on how they actually respond to failure then as well.
Yes.
Let alone success.
Oh, look, and, if they haven't met a particular goal that they've set themselves or we've talked about and negotiated, so reaching that, and they haven't made it, we're both devastated, and it actually has a big impact on their confidence. So I think there's a real connection between what they believe they're capable of and then their confidence and capacity to actually get there is that's integral.